Hello folks, it's an absolutely filthy day today. Turn that out of my eyes. Overnight the temperature has risen 12 degrees, can you believe? It's been really cold lately, and then last night it just, temperature shot up and it's just been throwing it down with rain. And everything's just covered in condensation, everything everywhere. So I'm currently in the metal shed out the back of the barn where the log boiler's going. And I mean, it's starting to dry out now, but earlier, goodness me, every tool I picked up was just dripping. Horrible. Anyway, so last night I spent a bit of time working on the layout of the plumbing. This was the schematic drawing that Rob did for me, and I've converted that into a pipe layout for the heat exchangers and the pumps for that and the central heating. So that layout on there, there's the two heat exchangers, is basically what's going on this board. Sorry about the light. I've put my torch on to light up in here. I've got this LED light, but whenever I turn it on and try to film anything, you just get this horrible flashing on the screen. I don't think it's very nice, so I'm just sort of trying to do it by torchlight instead. So these are the heat exchangers. There's two of them, and these have got to be connected together. So I've just made these little fittings up. They've got to be soldered, and they will be the connections between those two heat exchangers. So there you go, we're getting on by torchlight. Well, hello folks. Been working on the plumbing. I've had a couple of slack days, really waiting for parts, but I'm getting on. That's what I've got done so far. I'll try and explain what this is. So I've got, let's go around there. I've got cold water coming in, which will be in that blue plastic pipe, which will get connected to this valve. That feeds the pressure vessel. and when that's switched on, that it will go into the pressure vessel, then out of the pressure vessel through these pipes and fill up the jacket in the burner, and also fill the tank. So that cold supply then carries on along to here, comes in here, up through there, and that's a flow switch. So when the water passes through here, this is cold water moving through, and then these are heat exchangers, these two boxes here. And there'll be a hot pipe going into there, which is going to come off of that top there. That's going to be connected to this pipe on the boiler, and hot water will come out of there, and we're going to tee off of that, and that will supply hot water to this side of the heat exchangers. So hot water will flow through here. At the same time, cold water will flow up there. And this flow switch will detect when there's water flowing through. In other words, when you open the cold tap, rather the hot tap, that will make water flow through there. When that happens, the flow switch will detect that, and through this wire that will go to a pump on here, which isn't on there yet, which will pull hot water through. That heat in that hot water will transfer into this pipe through the heat exchanger, and will then come along here and will supply the house with hot water. Cold water supply in there, tees off, comes up here, supplies the house with cold water. So that's the hot and the cold water into the house. Then the other connections I made, that is the return from the underfloor heating, and that is the return from the central heating, the radiators, which will come down. Again, it will be pumped when the thermostat says it needs pumping, and that will draw water out into, and then they tee together again. Oh, that's a bit of a nuisance. Just discovered there's some solder run down the back of that pipe, which is going to make that really difficult to solder. Anyway, that will then come out here and will go into the bottom of that tank. So the last things to connect up here is this. I've got to go to there. That's the flow into the underfloor heating, and that's the flow into the central heating, which has got to take a different hot supply, which is going to come off the tank here. So I've cut that pipe up, got all the joints ready, but rather than try and hold it in place up there and keep everything square and not fall apart, I've put it all together on the bench here. That way I can lay it flat like that, and then I can know that that pipe is upright and everything is square. See, I can level that. I can level that pipe to there, and it will stay there while I solder it. So that's the pipe that's going to feed the radiators. And that's the pipe that is going to feed the underfloor heating, and that's the bit that will take the hot feed in. So that's the next bit I'm going to do, get that soldered up, and then I can put that on there, and that'll be that part of the plumbing complete, that part of it. And then I've got to get the hot supply there, get the pump on, blah blah blah, more to do. But for now, just going to get this bit soldered up. I sort of get all the pipework cleaned up now. So that's the flux on all the joints. and I'll wipe all the excess flux off, because flux is what attracts the solder. We don't want solder anywhere particularly other than in the joint. You don't want it over the pipe. I just want to make sure that that pipe is upright. Looks pretty good. I think that's pretty much ready to solder then. I will just put a mat under there, although this is a steel table, obviously it won't be a problem. I just think that having the mat under it stops any heat disappearing into the table, because that will take, the cold metal will take on the heat. And so if I put the mat there, it won't, that won't, it will keep the heat around the pipe. Just going to put that under there to level everything up, hopefully. Just going to put that on there and check that angle again. That looks pretty good. I think that's pretty good. Just let that cool down for a bit and then I'll give it a clean up. I'm just going to put a bit of flux on my cloth and then clean it up. Different people have got different ideas about how to clean these pipes up. I am not a plumbing expert. I can do plumbing. I'm not going to offer any wisdom. Give it a nice wipe down with a dry cloth. Get all the flux off. Now I'm going to give it a quick clean up with essentially a washing up scrubber. I shall get some some wire wool on it once it's all in place and give it all a really nice clean up then. There we go. That's it. Right, now we'll check it all, make sure it fits or somewhere nearby. So that's going to go in there like that. That's going to connect into that elbow there. That will go into there. Yep, that'll work. Got a bit tight in there. That's it. Let the flux off. Now before I solder that up, I'm just going to go through into the utility room, the other side of the wall, just to check that those pipes all look right before on the inside before I solder them up, make sure everything's in place. Bear with. Right, that all looks okay, other side, so I think we're good to solder this up. I've only got to solder that one joint now, one elbow. I'm just going to put that in there to protect the plastic. I'm not going to be able to see the back of that joint, so I'm just going to have to trust my plumbing skills. Go. And we've just got to connect up the flow for the hot central heating onto that 15mm. Is that there? That's it. That's it. So that's underfloor and central heating flow. Well, that's all the connections done from there. Through the wall, everything through the wall is done. So now, I think the next thing to do is going to be to connect the big tank and the boiler up with the 35mm pipe. Next job I've got to do is get the returns from the central heating and the underfloor heating back to the bottom of the tank. So we've got an outlet here, or an inlet rather, which is I can't remember, it's inch and a half BSP, British standard pipe thread. But I've got to get a 28mm pipe out of there, so I've got to convert this from 1.25 BSP. I think it's 1.25, it might be 1.5, can't remember. And get that to 28mm. So first thing we do is put that in there. That gives us our British standard pipe, and then we've got this adapter, which then takes us from that to 28mm. Daft really, I've got nothing between that other spanner and this one. This is way over the top. The other one's not quite big enough. I need to get myself something in between. That's it. And that's ready to take a 28mm pipe, which we've then got reduced out to 22 to meet the return from the heating systems. Hi folks, well that's all the copper plumbing finished. I've just been working away as long as I can into the night, etc. Delighted with how it's all turning out. Sorry about the flickering. Both pumps are in place now. I've got to wire them up yet, but everything's there. I've just finished putting in a drain cock down there, connecting this 15mm pipe up there, and then that's the main feed from the top of the hot to the heat exchangers. The last thing I've got to do is this is the water supply, the plastic pipe that comes in, which is what we dug the trench for a couple of weeks ago. That's going to be connected to this copper here. So I've got this fit in, which converts from 25mm plastic to 22mm copper. So I just got to I've turned the pump off now, so I undo that valve, let the pressure out, and then I can bring the pipe in, cut it. I'm going to put an elbow in that corner just to make it neater, and then come up to that fitting I just showed you, and then connect into there, and then that will be the plumbing complete. Then the scary moment comes when we start to fill the thing up and find out whether we've got any leaks or not. Hopefully that won't be the case. So that's the next bit to do. Oh, you're joking. Oh, it's the wrong size elbow. How on earth have they sent me the wrong size elbow? Oh, that's a bit of a pain. What size is this pipe? Damn it. Oh well. That'll be put off for a few days then. Okay, so all that moaning, it was my fault. In my head, when I was ordering all this stuff, that pipe was 25mm, but it's not, it's 32mm. So I've ordered a 25 elbow and a 25 adapter to copper. So what I've got to get now, I'm going to pipe, so I've got some 25mm pipe, which I will use those fittings that I bought, and then I'll just have to get myself a reducer from 32 to 25, which I've just looked and you can't get today. Won't be available till tomorrow, but that's okay. That'll get me out of trouble, although I'll have to reconnect that tap that I just took off. I'll have to put that back on so that we can turn the pump back on. What a fool. That's the first proper mistake I've made on ordering all this stuff, so I'm quite happy that I've only made one mistake. I suppose that's a positive. Anyway, so yeah, that's going to go to copper. Yep, there we go. Right, well that's the adapter ordered. That'll be ready tomorrow. Hopefully I'll find somebody that's going to open and they can pick it up for me. That'd be handy. So I'm just going to prepare this pipe. Yeah, so when the adapter arrives, it's just ready to go straight on. That's the plan. we go. So that's ready now. 32mm adapter onto that. Up to copper there, and off we go, ready to fill everything up. Which I was thinking I might get done tomorrow, but unlikely now. So I'm moving on to electrics now. Got to wire up the pumps and stuff like that. So change of hat.